You've probably seen those hydraulic press videos all over YouTube, and like many others, have spent an unhealthy amount of time watching them, thanks to that incredibly satisfying element. But have you ever wondered how those impressive machines really work? In this video, we'll be looking more into what powers those machines to crush all types of items and more. First up, the ram and plunger cylinders. If you've ever been in an industrial environment, then you've probably seen a hydraulic press up front before. The piece of equipment is used for a lot of different operations, like pressing metallic objects into a sheet of metal, thinning glass, crushing cars, or making powders out of certain compounds. A hydraulic press is well suited to the needs of most industrial environments. A hydraulic press has two cylinders that are connected to one another. Each of these cylinders has hydraulic fluid like oil, and one cylinder is larger than the other. The larger cylinder is known as the ram, and the smaller one is called the plunger. The hydraulic press works by pressing a small amount of force into the plunger, which in turn presses the item below. The pressure is then distributed evenly, which in turn the ram. The force between the plunger and the ram then works to finally crush the item placed between them. Next, other helping components. So now that you are aware that the hydraulic press has the ram and plunger cylinders that work to crush items, we can move on to other workings of the hydraulic press. Some more components of the hydraulic press include pistons and hydraulic pipes. A piston is inserted into the plunger cylinder and pressure is applied. The force applied causes the fluid in the cylinder to move through a pipe and into a larger cylinder. Like we said before, the larger cylinder is known as the ram cylinder. The pressure that's put on the ram cylinder and the piston in the ram cylinder pushes the fluid back to the plunger cylinder. The force applied to the fluid by the plunger cylinder results in a larger force, which is experienced by the ram cylinder. An industrial hydraulic press comes along with what is known as the press plates. With the help of these press plates, the material to be worked on is either punched or crushed into sheets. Well, what about the liquids in the press? The hydraulic press is a device that uses liquid fluid power, like water or oil, to carry out its work. Heavy construction vehicles are a typical example of hydraulic machines using fluids. Hydraulic systems are confined pressurized systems that use and store liquids, and this is an advantage since the hydraulic fluid itself is not very compressible, so it doesn't suffer from delays in movement. Unlike a gas-based pneumatic system, which needs a compressor to compensate for this task, in the machine, the liquid fluid, oil in most cases, is pumped to various motors and cylinders throughout the vehicle, which becomes pressurized according to the resistance present. Liquids are practically incompressible and therefore lead to tighter control of cylinder or hydraulic motor movement and positioning. Another reason liquids are used is that they're easier to transfer. Liquids can travel through small and flexible tubes and pipes, which can move a lot of power over long distances. Liquid fluids can be safely pumped to higher pressures than gases, which transmit more power than gases. Hydraulic force can be multiplied easily without mechanical gears, and with not much concern for the distance between mechanically driven objects. The hydraulic oil provides lubrication to rotating equipment, such as hydraulic pumps, and also provides rust and corrosion protection to hydraulic components. Moving on to electric presses versus electric hydraulic presses. Electric hydraulic presses are used for a variety of metalworking tasks. These electric hydraulic press machines have powerful mechanisms and are overall really efficient. They're pretty handy for industrial metal operations that are on a budget. They come in an array of sizes too, like all hydraulic presses, so you can choose the convenient one for your type of work. So what's a hydraulic bench press used for? Well, a hydraulic bench press is extremely useful for a variety of smaller pressing tasks. These tasks can range from pressing bearings to removing and installing gears and other press-fit items. Each hydraulic bench press with a maximum 10-ton capacity cylinder delivers a great amount of force for heavy pressing, while conveniently fitting in a tiny area of any workshop. Now, the use of Pascal's principle. The hydraulic press depends greatly on Pascal's principle, which was established by the well-known French mathematician Blaise Pascal in 1647. Pascal's principle is a principle in fluid mechanics that states that the pressure at a point has infinite direction, and so the pressure changed at any point in a confined incompressible liquid is transmitted throughout the fluid, so that the same change occurs everywhere. The equation for the principle can be understood easily when looking at how the press works. The change in pressure occurs due to the change in potential energy of the liquid per unit volume of the liquid, which in turn is caused by the acceleration due to gravity. Pascal's law also dictates that the pressure in the larger cylinder, the ram, will stay the same as the pressure in the smaller cylinder, the plunger. That's a lot of science for something that might seem pretty straightforward. Up next, some benefits of the hydraulic press. Due to the way hydraulic presses work, they provide us with an array of different benefits when compared to a mechanical press. Let's look a bit into a few of the benefits of a hydraulic press. Firstly, there's a lower cost involved. A hydraulic press is usually much cheaper than a mechanical press, thanks to its simple nature. The original cost is lower, and the maintenance cost is also lower due to a smaller amount of breakdowns, and it's easier to replace the moving parts within a hydraulic press. If you have a 30-ton hydraulic press, then it'll only ever exert 30 tons of pressure. If you set the pressure level for less, then it'll only release said level of pressure. Once that level is reached, a relief valve is opened which won't allow the hydraulic press to go beyond that level, which allows for overload protection. And lastly, there's less noise. Because hydraulic presses use fewer moving pieces, the noise level is reduced. Since you have complete control with a hydraulic press, this means you can also control the noise level. Now, some disadvantages. We've gone over some of the advantages of using a hydraulic press over a mechanical one, but realistically speaking, there are some downsides to the machine as well. The flow rate of the hydraulic system isn't that high, so the circuit elements end up operating at a pretty low speed. Since the circuit elements of the hydraulic system operate under very high pressure, they must be produced very solidly, which causes high costs. The hydraulic fluid is also sensitive to high temperatures, and since oil is often used as the fluid, this temperature can't surpass 50 degrees, or else there will be problems with the procedure. Aside from that, the hydraulic fluid is also sensitive to air. The formation of air in it causes noise and vibration, which in turn disrupts the speed balance. And finally, some cool applications. Yeah, we've all seen hydraulic presses being used for some interesting videos, but what we see being crushed there isn't always what the machine is really made to do. Some common uses for hydraulic pressing are primarily used for forging, clinching, molding, blanking, punching, deep drawing, and metal forming operations. According to the site Science ABC, with the growth of lightweighting in the aerospace and automotive industries, many applications are constantly developing in thermoplastics, SMC sheet molded composite, GMT glass mat transfer, and carbon fiber molding. All of these applications need a lot of precise control and repeatability. But aside from these more technical uses, the press is commonly used for some cooler creations too. For example, it can be used for crushing cars. Hydraulic presses are practically at the heart of any crushing system. The process here involves using a hydraulic motor, which applies a large amount of pressure on the fluids of the cylinders. The fluid then makes the pressure plate rise with a great amount of force, and therefore makes the pressure plates crush the car. Hydraulic presses also help in producing fat-free cocoa powder. When cocoa beans are processed, a liquid called chocolate liquor is produced to get fat-free cocoa. That liquid is then passed through the handy hydraulic press, which squeezes out all the fat. After this, the liquid is processed further to make the cocoa powder, which is fat-free. Not only does the machine crush tough metals, but helps to give us healthier food too. Finally, it's all used in the process of sword making. This is when sheets of metal are beaten and compressed together. By putting more pressure, they can squeeze more metal into the perfect form factor for the sword. The high density of metals that's compressed into the form of a sword ensures that the sword is durable and doesn't break under any circumstances. It's safe to say that whenever a large amount of force and pressure is required, hydraulic presses are just the best machines to get the job done. That's a wrap for this video. What do you guys think of hydraulic presses? Let us know in the comments below. Make sure to give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel for more videos like this. See you in the next one.